when you lose people, you're left with that feeling, right? You're left with an empty feeling, and it's kind of like, what's next? How do I go on without you, right? What do I do now? I took a song from Bruno Mars for this one, right? And it says, seems like pain has been my only friend. My fragile heart's been done so wrong. I wondered if I'd ever heal again. And you really feel that feeling when that person leaves, right? It's like I said, how do I go on? What do I do next?
I never had really lost a friend that was like that close to me that I would see on the daily and like talk to daily or like talk about what we're gonna do next. Like it hurt a lot because I already had known him for so long, and then just for like all of a sudden, just for that person to be gone, it's like you're never gonna see them again. You're not gonna talk to them again. It's a crazy feeling that I still sometimes have like. Nah, he's out there somewhere. He faked his death or something, That's what we keep telling myself, like, he faked his death or something,
This is Sad Boy Radio.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sad Boy Radio. I'm your host, Matt, and today we got a very special guest, very talented videographer. Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
What's up? My name's Film. I do video work and photography work. Yeah, anything with a camera I could do.
And the editing,
Oh, yeah.
That's the most difficult part. That's a lot that people don't even really focus on. They think that, you shoot it, put it out, and it's good. Like, no, that is not the fucking process. So talk about that a little bit and, how you've really grown from the beginning to now.
When I first started, I didn't know anything about a camera, obviously, and then it's just started off by practicing on my own, learning how to shoot manual, because everything was auto at first, everything just whatever the camera did. All right, cool. I wouldn't even edit the pictures. I'm like, all right, this looks cool. I'm gonna keep it like that, And then from there, just from practicing a lot, like I did a lot of free stuff. So just doing that, different topics like sports or like street photography, just like going to events or like little gatherings, family parties to go practice. Learning from that, and then editing too. Started off with free programs, and then eventually evolved from there into like using Final Cut, Premiere, and all that. I'm still learning, but got a little bit more at the hang of it.
Every day's a learning process with that shit, man. Especially, you just go into YouTube, find out how to do it, and that shit still takes time though, and people don't even think about it.
Oh yeah.
But man, so talk about how you got into like entertainment. You do a lot of work with a lot of different artists, from 50 Cent to, man, we were just talking about Sueños, Mas Flow. So talk about that a little bit.
Before I started doing photography and like video stuff, I was a DJ. Like I was that was like my thing, music. I started DJing at like house parties, little bars here and there, and then like started progressing there from like to bigger venues. But yeah, that's kind of like how I met the circle that I still talk to now, like the circle of DJs, producers, like promoters. And then when I stopped DJing, that's when I went to go buy a camera, and I picked up a camera, started doing that. I did college for like a year and like experimented there for a bit, and then I was like, oh, school's not for me, like I just couldn't do it. So I started working, started picking up the camera more, just practicing. And then one of my guys, his name DJ Cheech, he recommended me to one of the guys from V5. And then I started talking to him that they needed a photographer at the time because their photographer had gotten hit by a car, so she wasn't able to make it to the gigs, and they needed somebody quick. And my guy recommended me to him, and he's like, oh, show us some of your work. And at the time, like I had a little bit of work, from like just going out for like friends' birthday parties and me bringing my camera. And I showed them that. They're like, oh, yeah, cool, let's do it, like, where can you start? I'm like, whenever. He's like, can you come this Friday? So that's when I started doing, like, the nightlife stuff. I started working at the Mine, it used to be called Transit. That's, like, my first place that I started working, and I would do, like, once a week, And then just progress from there, like, oh, we like your work, and they would tell me, like, work on this, work on that, I was always trying to remain open-minded about, like, any info that they wanted to give me, because I was new to it, like, this was my first time working in a club, taking pictures. So I learned from there, and then they started booking me more and more, and then they're like, oh, can you do video? So I was like, I don't know how to do video, but I'll try, like, I got my camera, like, I'll try with this, and, went from there, and started opening more and more doors from there.
So fuck it, I'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Take every
basically.
opportunity.
Yep.
Cheech from Los Desvelados?
Yeah, him. Yeah.
I've never actually met him, but I've heard so many people talk about him that I'm like, damn, okay.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So is that how you know M-Doc?
That's from like DJing. Like, we used to be in a crew called the Chicago Deadbeats.
Mm-hmm.
It was me, my guy Dice, Nader, Menos, and then Louis Q. We were like the ones that formed that. But we used to work a lot with these guys from Ghetto Division. They're from like the Pilsen area, a couple other spots, but mainly from like Pilsen. We started working with them, and then Cheech at the time had like his crew and like all them with END. It was like another party crew that we had. And just like from meeting all those people, we all like worked together, DJed at parties. We'd be like, hey, I need you to DJ over here. We were like, like book each other basically. But yeah, that's basically how I met him through DJing.
You were deep in there. So what made you stop?
Honestly, I stopped DJing because I had gotten my girl at the time pregnant, and I had a kid. I'm like, the DJing stuff was decent. I was booked every weekend, but I needed more income. So like I stopped DJing for a bit, and I started working, and then I would try working and DJing too at the time. Well, like my kid was just born. But she always had like a problem with it, like there's always like issues with like going out to DJ and like, oh, what if you're talking to girls or blah blah blah, It was just like always like just like little things, So I stopped doing it completely, and then eventually like I tried to get back into it, but I was like, I don't know, it's not the same no more, I kind of like lost interest into it, and then just started doing the photo and video work.
Now I want to ask you something real quick, and if it's too personal, you don't even gotta answer it. But for you, what did that mean to you to have to make that decision?
It bothered me a lot, but like for me, it was just like, well, I have a kid now, like I have a responsibility. I have someone that I need to take care of, someone to make sure that's good, like it changed my mindset. It's like, like I kind of understood it, like, yeah, like screw it. If it's gonna mean keeping us together, like I'll just work. I'll stop doing this, But yeah, I mean, it was hard. It was hard to stop because it's what I really like to do, Since I was like in junior high, I was DJing and like tried to make music. So it was hard, but I mean, it led to other things,
Divine timing.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Real quick, before we get fully into it, guys, that was your long introduction of film. Make sure you go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you check this out. Man, so the first thing I really wanted to talk about was, let me give you the concept real quick, right? The concept today is going to be, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
And that really stems from the idea of once you achieve so much in your career, once you feel like you've accomplished so much, you're left with the question of, what do I do now? What do I pursue now? And that's like a hard realization to come to, right? Because you feel so accomplished, but at the same time you feel so empty because there's nothing left for you to do. And you've done a lot, man. Obviously, like, you've done a lot more than I realized because I couldn't do that much research on you considering your first post on Instagram is from 2019. So I'm like, damn. But you started out, just doing photography, taking these pictures of artists. The specific post I saw was DJ Chava, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, like I said, you've done 50 Cent, you've done Sueños, you've done Mas Flow. For you, what's the most important lesson you've learned so far?
Honestly, to always be thankful for everything that you have, and whatever you don't have, if you want it, like if you really want it, you'll get it eventually, but you just got to put the work in, and be a person that is trustworthy and being loyal, that takes it a long way, because I've noticed a lot of things, or a lot of relationships end up because there's no loyalty, there's no honesty, there's nothing, so it's always be, if you don't like something, speak up. If you do like how some things are going, talk about it,
What moment made you come to that realization?
I guess looking back where I started and then seeing like where I'm at now, it made me realize a lot, thinking that I was never going to be able to be doing things that I've done, Yeah, honestly, that's basically it. I mean, just looking back on everything and seeing like, like how much work I've put in, to finally get to, like, I guess not the point that I want to be, but like a stage of it,
You look back and you don't realize along the journey how far you've made it until you're at this mountaintop, right? And you look down and you're like, damn, I didn't even know I was going that hard. I didn't know I was going that far. The song I took was from August Alsina. It's called Look at How Far I've Come. Or it's American Dream. And he says, when I was growing up, they told me that I wouldn't make it too far. And when I got a little older, they told me that I wouldn't be anything.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a lot of these doubters a lot of the time, right? And you have these people that tell you, like, oh, you can't do it. You won't be able to do it. And especially in an industry like this, right? You have people that just don't believe in the vision.
Yeah.
What made you overcome that?
I mean, I still deal with that because there's like sometimes where I see like certain people that, and it's like nothing that that I'm not like happy for them, but it's like I'm happy for all my friends that make it, you know. But it's like, what do I need to do to be there, you know? Like, I just think about it like certain things too that I see, like I could be shooting there, you know, but like what I gotta do to make their eyes come to me, you know, and like how do I catch their attention, you know? Just all the times that people would like, you know, like message me or tell me, you know, like when I give them their content, like how amazing it was, and like we want to book you again and blah blah, you know. Like there's times, bro, where I've applied for like passes or anything, you know, I don't get it, you know, but you know, it's like, oh well, you're not up to par with what we're looking for. It's like, you know, then it's like, damn, you know, like at the time I look at it kind of like, damn, I'm not good enough, you know, like I need to keep working harder, you know. But I always use it as motivation. Like that Sueños, for example, like at the end of the second day of the whole night, I just kind of like chilled there and I was just like watching everything happen. Like, damn, I actually made this happen, you know. Like, no matter how many times, you know, I got denied things, you know, I'm finally like at it was basically like my first big festival that I ever worked at, you know, and it was like something that I've always wanted to do. And it was a reggaeton festival, you know. It's like that kind of like it lifted up my spirits even more to like, all right, cool, like what do I gotta do next, you know? Like I did this and now I could like go on to like another thing, you know, like just keep moving and start working forward to like the next goal that I want to do.
So after completing Sueños, what do you think that next goal was?
I do want to do more like festivals and stuff like that, but my ultimate goal is I want to do like start off with short films, and then like actually do like movies or like documentaries. Like I've always been fascinated by documentaries, like how they're filming or like going to different parts of the world and like going into places that not everybody gets access to, you know. Like I want to do things like that. Like sometimes it's dangerous and all that, but it's like it's things you get to experience that other people don't, and you get to document it and then show other people like, look, you know. That's like my ultimate goal that I want to like reach.
That shit would be dope as hell. You got your first subject, Willie. Nah, but that's honestly dope because at the end of the day, like you have these goals that you set for yourself, and sometimes those goals they're not even realized right when you complete the last one, right? Sometimes it takes that period where you got to take a couple months and figure out, okay, what am I doing? How do I get to the next part of my life, and where do I want to start, right? And for you, opening up that chapter was really with V5 when you did the photography, you know, finally booking those gigs. And you talked about how you got involved with them, but I wanted to touch back on it a little bit. And, you know, how have you grown while being with them?
I mean, honestly, it's like learning every day, you know. I mean, I've been doing like the nightlife for a while, and like sometimes I start seeing it like it's just like work, you know. And like I try to change my mindset to not make it just work, you know. And like I'll watch different movies or like watch like documentaries on like parties or nightlife or anything like that, just to like try to get different ideas on how I can capture the events, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I always have like that fear of getting into my comfort zone and then not progressing from there, you know. So like there's times where I feel like I'm getting too comfortable now, like I need to like figure out another way that we could document this, you know. Like how else can we show this, you know, like whether it's using different equipment or using different lighting or a different like perspective, or actually like trying to do like a little script to it or something, you know. And then Willie and the other guy Josue, they're really good at that too, you know. They always like tell us like, hey, like the content's getting a little bit too repetitive, let's try this, you know, let's try this. And they have some great ideas too, you know. So it's almost like all working together kind of like helps too, you know. But yeah, it's constantly trying to like figure out how to show what I do differently, you know, and give people a different perspective.
That's the shit that nobody thinks about. And I really appreciate that, man, because it's the tiniest details that matter, right? just like you said, a lot of people aren't gonna notice that, like, damn, this is repetitive, this shit is getting old. But for the content creator, it means the most to them, because those are the moments that you're like, damn, I really put my own touch on that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to talk about, well, another group I wanted to talk about was Vision55. You rep that shit hard. So talk about it. How'd you get involved with them, and what does that group really mean to you?
Vision55 all came to start because of one of my guys. His name's Jose, but everybody knew him as Flex. At the time, I wasn't really like doing. I don't know if I was in the clubs yet. At the time yet, like working in the clubs, and if I wasn't like really doing it as much as I am now. But he came to me one day. He's like, "Hey, I have this idea for like this project that I want to start." And he's like, he showed me some examples of what he wanted to do, and he sent me like this guy named Servando Zetaile from Mexico, and what he does, he just basically, before he used to use all GoPros, and he would set them up and record the bands live. They'd get an engineer out, and then they would record the group was playing and record it live, and it was all live. He's like, I want to do something like this, but out here in Chicago, like I want this to be like a big company, like I want to have a team and everything. And I was like, sure, like he just told me he wanted to do that, but I didn't really know too much about like Mexican regional music, like I wasn't in that scene at all. Like I never listened to it. And then he had me come over by his place, and then other guy, Robert, he's from this group called Escuela de Rancho. I don't think they're together anymore. They've been like, or they did like a comeback for like an event or something, but they used to be a group. And he was, what did he play? The quinto? The tuba. He played the tuba and a couple other instruments. But it was us three. We had a meeting. And we talked about it, and like basically we're like, all right, so how are we gonna tap into like the scene, Flex knew some people, and then Robert knew like all the musicians because he was in a group that's been around for a while, so he had good relationships with all of them. And then we started there coming up with names and blah blah. Came up with Vision55. Vision was because it was gonna be like a media-based company, and 55 was because of Interstate 55, and it's like something that we all took to get from place to place, whatever it is we were doing. So that's how we came up with the name Vision55. And then we started, at first nobody really wanted to work with us, because they were like, who are you guys? Like we would offer our services for free. And there's times where we're like, no, we don't have time. The ones that did, we actually worked with, like helped us a lot because Robert, we did one for his band. And then we started working with other bands that already had kind of like a name in the city. And that helped us bring out our name, into like the industry. And then, it just grew from there. At first, we just did media and audio. That's all we did. We didn't have a place or anything. We just worked, wherever we could. I work at my house, or, we'd go by one of our guys' place, and he had a photo studio. We'd edit there. He started building a bigger crew, and then we're like, well, we got to do something else, and started getting into, like, managing grupos. He bought over Los Cabros from Ohio out here because, he wanted to bring them out here to like, start managing them. And then from there, they're doing great now. And then from there, he just started getting more groups signed on to the label to manage. And then started getting into like the urban, the reggaeton, the Spanish trap artists. He started getting into that as well. And yeah, that's basically how we grew up.
So you were on the ground floor for that shit.
Yeah, like I told Flex, he passed away not too long ago. And we all agreed, that we were gonna keep his legacy alive and keep the company alive, whatever it is that we had to do, because he did a lot of work for all of us, like he was someone that I looked up to a lot, because of him, like I got a lot of work in that industry. I had a lot of more motivation from him because he always believed in me, he always believed in all of us, and he would always motivate us or tell us straight up how it is, He would always, if we were messing up something, he would tell us, he would tell us, he would check us, be like, hey, you're kind of doing this, you need to do this, But yeah, we all agreed that we're going to keep his legacy alive. We're going to keep working with Vision. So that's why I kind of like rep it hard because it was something that this still means a lot to me,
So how do you feel like you've grown specifically with Vision55?
With V5, I started more with like doing photo work, like I said, and then eventually started getting into video work. And I feel like with Vision, it was mainly video work that I was doing, and it went hand in hand. Working with Vision helped me like explore more like the video side of it, and helped me like bring what I learned there to V5, and vice versa. I I have the utmost respect for both, for Vision, for V5, for everybody, because they both helped me out a lot. They both have opened lots of doors for me. And then that's why it all comes into like the honesty and the loyalty and all that sticks. Like I've been with V5 for about like, I think it's been like 6-7 years already, and then Vision's been how many years already? 5 years. Yeah, so it's basically around 5-6 years. When I think I've been with the V5 working with them a little bit longer.
Really, what do these two groups mean to you?
I mean, they're basically like second families. I see people from that I work with at V5 and with Vision more than I do my family sometimes. So that's why I consider both of them like families. And honestly, because of them, that's like where I've gotten a lot of my work. Because I've had like little gigs that I get on my own here and there, but it's always meeting people, whether it be like with Vision somewhere, meeting somewhere there, or being in the club with V5 somewhere, meeting someone there. They both mean a lot to me for the simple fact that like they've helped open more doors for me. And in return, like I given them my loyalty, my honesty. I try to deliver everything that they need on time, but sometimes obviously it's backed up because we have teams, but like it's just like sometimes it's just way too much, It's like
that's the other thing, is that this shit isn't just work. It's not just every day you're in the club and having fun and partying, right? Yeah. There's the other side to it that a lot of people aren't seeing, and you mentioned that with the passing of Flex. I know that was a very big thing with you guys because it was all over social media. A lot of people were reaching out and saying, my condolences, and my condolences to you guys. I'm very sorry to hear about that. And when you lose people, you're left with that feeling, right? You're left with an empty feeling, and it's kind of like, what's next? How do I go on without you, right? What do I do now? I took a song from Bruno Mars for this one, right? And it says, seems like pain has been my only friend. My fragile heart's been done so wrong, I wondered if I'd ever heal again. And you really feel that feeling when that person leaves, right? It's like I said, how do I go on? What do I do next? And there's no real answer. There's no answer that's going to make you feel better. There's no answer that's like right there in front of you. If you're comfortable with it, talk about, the relationship you had with Flex and, what that really meant to you. Because like you said, you looked up to him a lot.
Yeah.
So for you, what did it really mean to you?
Well, honestly, I've known him since I was in high school. We didn't really like talk too much in high school because basically we all knew the same group of friends, but he was more like into the sports and like stuff like that, and I was more like, at the time I was like into like graffiti, like I wanted to paint, I wanted to do this in high school, so he was more like, I guess you could say like a jock, and then I was like the guy spray painting, and then started DJing.
You were a delinquent.
Yeah. In high school, since like I DJ'd, like a couple of people knew, and then that's where like I just kind of started getting closer with Flex because he would throw parties and he would hit me up like, hey, come DJ, and I would bring my equipment and, I DJ for him at the parties. And he used to DJ too. So that's kind of like where I started getting closer to him. And then after high school, like we would talk here and there. He'd have me come like take pictures of like dogs that he had because he used to have like bullies. And he had it twice. He had like a litter. So he'd hit me up like, can you go take pictures of the dogs, So I would go for that, or like if it was like anything with like family or something. So it meant a lot to me because I never really, I've lost friends, but I never had really lost a friend that was like that close to me that I would see on the daily and like talk to daily, or like talk about what we're going to do next, like it hurt a lot because I already had known him for so long. And then just for like, all of a sudden, just for that person to be gone, it's like you're never gonna see them again. You're not gonna talk to them again. It's a crazy feeling that sometimes have like, nah, he's out there somewhere. He faked his death or something, you know. Like, that's what I we keep telling myself, like he faked his death or something, you know. But you know, it's just a weird feeling, you know, like when it first happened, just like not getting a text, you know, like, oh, we gotta do this, you know, like, or like, hey, let's go to the gym, or let's go do this, you know. There wasn't a lot of people like him, I guess you can say, you know. I have a lot of good friends, but he was like that one person. I mean, we all have friends that, you know, you could count on for like anything, you know. And he was like that person, you know, no matter what time it was, he would answer your calls, you know. I mean, if he wasn't busy, you know, obviously, because everybody has life, but, you know, he would always, if you needed help with something, you know, like he was there to help you, like, or he would try to figure it out, you know. It was never like, I can't do it, I can't help you, you know. It was always like he found a way to try to help the situation, you know. So yeah, it was like, it was big for me, for all of us, you know, but for me especially because, you know, I had known him for a while, and first time losing a close friend like that, you know.
Aside from Vision55, how do you feel like you've kept his legacy alive and you've carried what you've learned from him?
As far as like the regional Mexican scene, everywhere we go, the logo's up, you know, and that logo represents him basically now, you know. And then he also has like his own corrido, and it's basically almost played at every single event that we have, you know. It's played there, so it's like we're trying to turn that into like an anthem, you know. So everybody knows, you know, like his name, knows who was 57, you know, like Flex, who he was, you know. And everything that I learned from him, it was always with just like relationship wise, or like negotiating wise, or anything like that, or like it's everyday things that I still use, you know. Like he taught us a lot, even when he didn't think he was teaching us. Just by watching him, it's like you learn things, you know. So that's something that I'm always gonna carry with me, you know.
What would you say helped you during your process of, you know, grieving? Obviously, you know, it's still going on because it was recent.
We think about him every day, you know. I usually just try to reflect back on like all the good memories that we had, you know. I try to think what he would be doing right now that we're here, you know. Like he would always, I know he would be like, come on, you know, like we gotta start working, we gotta keep going, you know, keep going, like don't let this stop, you know. Because they know if we stop doing what we're doing with Vision, he'd be mad. He'd be super mad because he put a lot of time and money into it, you know. So it's like that's kind of more like what helps me get by. It's just like trying to motivate myself to keep the company going, you know, and making sure like if people that know Vision, well, not everybody, but a lot of people that know Vision know Flex, you know.
I've talked with a lot of people who have lost a lot of close people to them, right? And the process is never easy. It's never just, you know, obviously it happens and you move on with life, but you have those moments of reflection, right? You have those moments where it seems like it never happened. Mm-hmm. I used to say that whenever I'd see a picture, because my grandma's passed away, right? I would see a picture and I'm like, I just haven't seen them in a long time. I'll see them one day again, but you know, it's just gonna be like a very long time. And it almost feels like it wasn't real, right? It's like, damn, just like you said, nah, he faked his death. Nah, it's not real. And sometimes I guess it's easier for that feeling to not have ever hit you than to all hit you at once.
Yeah.
It just comes down to that. How do I move forward? What's next for me? What I wanted to talk to you about next, though, was the balance of the family life, the family and the nightlife, right? That's tough, bro. I don't know how you do it because every day I have this battle with myself of I got to do this, but I also want to be able to show love and affection to all the people in my life, right? Because you got to appreciate them while they're here, not once they're gone, right?
Yeah.
So for you, how have you found that balance?
I still feel like I'm trying to find that balance, you know, because it's hard. Well, I don't think it's hard. There's a way to do it to find the perfect balance, but I still am working on it, you know, because I work a lot. It's not like they say I quit my 9 to 5 to work 24/7. It's basically like what I do, you know. It's like if I'm not editing somewhere, you know, I'm shooting, you know. If I'm not doing that, I'm trying to like get some sleep in, or like, you know, or trying to go with my family or something, you know, or hanging out with some friends to get my mind off things, you know. For me, I'm still trying to find it to, I guess, just being more efficient with my work, and getting things done, like almost setting like a deadline. So, all right, this video needs to be done by this time, you know, and like just knowing when to say yes or no to gigs. That's like what I've learned, you know. Like if I could, I want to do every single gig that gets thrown at me, you know. But sometimes I have to say no because I have other work that I need to finish first. You know, if I take that gig, it's gonna get time away from my editing, and it's gonna back me up even more, you know. And I usually just like pass it on to somebody else. If I know somebody else that could do the job, I'll give it to them, you know. But I've been trying to like be more efficient editing wise, where I'm not getting too distracted with other things, or like being on my phone or checking my social media, you know, or like working on one project and then I gotta work on this project too, you know, like trying to finish one and finish it with good time, just so I don't have all that backed up work, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then like with my son, he stays with his mom out in Indiana, so it's a bit of a drive for me sometimes, you know. And then like with work, the clubs, I have to be out at night all the time, you know. So I'll go over, you know, like whenever I can, but it's usually just like calling or something, you know. So that's like another thing that I need to work on, you know, because I'm doing too much work, you know, and then not spending enough time with my son or with my family. So it's just like I'm still trying to like figure it all out, you know. I guess it's just like being more efficient, more organized with yourself, and making time for everything, you know, because it can't be all work all the time. Sometimes it is like that. It's gonna be like that, and it has to be like that. But you also got to find time for yourself, you know. It's healthy, you know. You need it, you know. Sometimes you got to say no.
I feel like that's a difficult thing to have to, you know, kind of balance out, and that feeling to live with, right? Because it's like I want to be there for these people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't got kids, so
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't say. But
yeah.
for you, it really comes down to, you know, nurturing and growing and raising a child, right? So for you, where does that feeling lie? You know, I get torn apart when I have to focus on this over certain people.
Yeah, it's hard, but like sometimes how I see it's like right now it's like it's grind time, you know. But eventually I'll be how I see it. Like I want to be able to have like a team, you know. So I'm not the one that's always out, you know. Like if I wanted to I could still take on a gig, but it'll be for somebody else to do, you know. Like, and I'll be able to like focus on spending more time with the family, you know. But at the time, like right now, I feel like I've still gotta like put in work, you know, to get to where I really want to be, you know.
And like I said, I don't want to dig too deep, man. I don't want to be like putting your business out there, right? Do you feel like there's a possibility that it would ever be too late, that you would accomplish all that and then have to look back one day?
I don't think so. I like I tell everybody, if you don't take that risk, you're never gonna know, you know. So the sooner you can take that risk, the sooner you'll be able to get there, you know. Because some people, it'll take them like a year, 2 years, or, you know, 5, 6 years, you know, to get to where they want to be. But it's like if you never do it, or if you think it's too late, then how you gonna ever find out, you know? You're never gonna know if you never tried it, you know. Like I used to work at a cultivation for cannabis. I was an extractor, and like I thought I was set. I'm like, I'll be good here, you know. Like I was there when the industry first came out in Illinois, you know, before it was like recreational. I was working in the industry. I'm like, oh, I'm good. I'm set. You know, I'm in the lab. I'm doing extractions. Like I'm good, you know. But it didn't work out like that, and I kept thinking to myself, because there'd be times where like they'd hit me up while I was at work. Yo, I need you to come shoot this event. Can you come? Like I can't. I'm at work. You know, I would have to wait till after work, and then I was free. You know, or there'd be times where I'd take off work just to go work at another event. You know, like I'd use a vacation day or a sick day to call off and then go work at another event. And I'm kind of like stuck in between because I love weed, but I also love like doing video and photo work. You know, and I had got offered a job, like a permanent video job, when I was still at the facility. And I turned it down because I was like, you know, I'm in the beginning stages of the cannabis industry in Illinois. Like this could be really big for us, you know. I was like, I'll be good here. You know, I'll be making good money. But it just came to the day that I was just like, I need to take the risk, you know. And I quit my job and I went and started doing this full time. Like I hit up everybody. I'm like, yo, I quit my job. Like I'm doing this full time. Like let me know if you got work, you know. I told my boy from Vision, told Flex, and I told V5 like, yo, I quit my job. I'm ready to do this full time. Like, all right, cool. And like, thankfully for them, you know, I was able to keep busy, and then I started getting like my own gigs, reaching out to people, you know. But yeah, you just gotta take the risk.
Yeah. Damn, I was gonna ask you, is there any regret with that?
I don't regret it. I mean, there's times where I'm like, I have too much work. Like, I don't want to do this no more. You're like, I'm tired of editing. I'm tired of like doing all of this, you know. But then I'm like, I think of myself like, nah, you were asking for this. This is what you wanted. Now you have it, and it's like now you gotta deal with it, you know. So I catch myself complaining sometimes that I have too much work, or like this and that. But then I'm like, but this is what I wanted. I quit my job for this, and it's like now that I have it, I'm not being thankful for it, you know. I'm complaining about it, and it's kind of like, nah, bro, like, you know, just get back to work, you know, like figure out a way to make it happen.
It's like what they say, bro. Be careful what you wish for.
Exactly. Yeah, basically.
Man, I talk about that a lot recently. How I used to always be like, man, I want to be famous. I want to be famous. And I'm not going to say I don't want that shit, right? Because I do want that shit. But as time goes on, you realize that a lot of the relationships you make because you want that become ingenuine. They're not real, and you wonder where the real love is. You wonder where the people that really do support you are coming from. And it's such a hard thing to deal with mentally because nobody's really prepared for that. One day it just kind of shows up, and obviously I'm sure you deal with a lot of that. You probably have people hitting you up all the time like, hey, yo, get me into this event.
It happens a lot, but I feel like it's going to happen with any industry that you work in, you know. It doesn't matter where it is. Like, that's just something that's going to happen.
I know you were in the two worst industries. You're in fucking nightlife and weed.
There's been times where people ask me like, hey, can you get me in to shoot at this event, you know, and I'm like, I'll check out the work first, you know. I'm like, oh, he's good. Yeah, like, I'll see what I can do, you know. And if I can, you know, I'll get them in. But it's almost like just seeing like how they act afterwards, you know, like it's hard, you know. It's hard to like determine if a person's intentions are good or not, you know. It's like I feel like you still gotta like kind of like give them a try, you know. Like I always try to give everybody a try if they hit me up, you know. If I can make something happen, like sure, you know, I'll give you a try to, you know, come shoot for us, you know, or whatever. Unless you come off like, you know, like a little bit too, like come on, bro, I need this, you know, like, you know, I need to do this, you know, like maybe I'll be like, we'll see, you know. But I try to give everybody an opportunity to come shoot, you know, and then just going from there. But I almost feel like having that happen to you makes you like a stronger person, and you're able to like, I guess, like read people a little bit better, you know, seeing what their intentions really are.
Just dealing with that, it really does take that toll on your mental health where you're like, fuck, man, like, but man, I really appreciate you coming through, man. I think that we had a really good conversation, and I know there's a lot more that I got to learn about you over time, but shit, hopefully we get to do more work together, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, that's going to be all for today. Thank you for watching. Make sure you tune in, and make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Sad Boys for real. Peace out.
This is Sad Boy Radio.